Good boy, Keith. Good girl, Tilly. There's Willie. What's Willie doing there, eh? And what's going on? Who's that? Eh? What's going on? What's going on with you, Willie? Setting up some territory, are we? And where's Keith gone? Oh, there he is. The big bloke. Look how green it is in July. So I went to Cowra the other day and picked up this set of BMW touring panniers. And I've got a set of the city panniers which I use. And these ones are a bit they hold a bit more luggage, you know, which is a good thing, I guess, you know, for longer trips and stuff. I don't need them now. I'm just giving a test run. And but the issue I have with them is getting on and off the bike. There's not a lot of room between here and here and here, sort of thing, you know. So I mean, it's not that hard or anything. It's just a bit awkward. Where's the other glove gone, Tilly? Is that you who does that? Do you do that? Are you a troublemaker? Hey, are you a troublemaker? I think you are. I think the whole world knows you're a troublemaker. The whole internet knows. Yes, anyway. I'll put these ones away. I use the city panniers, and I basically use these for the same thing, and that is just to carry the cold and wet weather stuff around, and a few other odds and sods, you know. We're gonna see if we can get a little bit of heat, because it's quite cool, really. I shall wander off in the direction of home. I wonder how Glenn's going over there. I haven't seen or heard anything about his sidecar outfit that he was going to put together. It'll be interesting to see. Glenn, if you're watching this, make a comment and tell me how your outfit's coming along. Oh, come on, darling. The pup. So this whole place here, it's a shame to see it. I thought it must have what they deal in: Chevs, Pontiac, Oaklands, Buick, Oldsmobile, Vauxhall International, Hart, Par. No, it's all happening. 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days it was open for. See the old Bowsers. They're not the old Bowsers, but they're old enough. Yeah, I thought it must have burnt down, but it doesn't look like it has. Oh. It just looks like it's falling apart, as these places will do. Come on, Chico. Be nice, darling. Be nice. So I can't help myself. Head off home, eh? Oh, there's the men's shed. Good old Trundle, eh? over there is the well, they don't call them hospitals anymore. It's a multi-purpose facility, and it's one of the reasons why I thought, because I'm getting old as such, it's one of the reasons why I thought it would be okay to move to where I have, because to have medical facilities, it's just what it is. When you get older, you got to see the doctor every now and again for a checkup or whatever. So, and they're really good, actually. It's a good little place. They've got two GPs. One is a woman from Dubbo. I won't say her name, she'd like to keep her own privacy, I'm sure. And she comes down, whatever it is, two or 3 days a week, 2 days I think it is, when she's on shift, and she flies down in her own light aircraft and lands at the golf course, which I reckon's pretty cool, And the other guy, whose name I've forgotten, is a genuine old school Australian. They're both white Australian doctors, which you don't see many of these days. And he's really old school. I like them both. They're both quite good. So that works out fairly well. It's not easy to get an appointment though. You sort of have to wait for a couple of weeks or so, unless it's serious. Then you go into the ER, So I think we'll pull these panniers off again when we get home, sort of thing. Don't need them at this point, obviously, unless we're going somewhere. Haven't got any plans for a major ride sort of thing until September, October or something. I'm sort of organising a meet-up for some of the newer BM blokes. We're going to go and meet up at the pub at Mendor and stay over and have a few beers, whatever, just for a night. It's not that far from here, really. Can't remember how far, about 300 k's or something. We can throw a tent up out the back till he can stay over. When Kerry and I went to Germany a few years ago, must be nearly, we're getting close to 8 or 10 years ago. Some friends of mine, Birgit and Zuni, if you watch any of my older videos, you'll see Birgit riding in the Sidecar on the Triumph. We went over to Walker for a coffee or something one day when they were visiting. Anyway, they came to visit us, and they took us out around the countryside. They wanted to go to Colditz Castle, which, you know, I've been to a couple of times, a few times before that, which is really interesting. But it's kind of funny, when I was first there, it was 1991 I think, it had, and still was actually, sorry, at that point, was a hospital for intellectually disabled people. And well, at the time we got there in 2008, it had been turned into a tourist attraction, complete with cardboard cutouts of German guards and whatever. It was kind of tacky, you know. I think my mate Chris from Leipzig, who's actually is an English guy, I think he did the help with translating all the stuff, German to English, English to German sort of thing, for the stuff around their brochures and whatever. Chris has been in Leipzig since the late 80s, and that's where he lives. That's his home now, you know. Anyway, yeah, so the point of this mindless ramble is that we went in Bergen's on his BMW. I can't remember what sort of car it was, what model, you know, like a later one, but I tend to sort of remember them as 3 Series, 5 Series or 7 Series, you know, but it's newer than that, obviously. Anyway, what astounded me was like all these old back roads around the countryside in Saxony, going out to Colditz and can't think of the other places, no, Bad Lausig and Lippendorf and etc. When I had trouble around there myself, either on the old MZ or the Passat, and then later I had a Beetle, the roads were all rough as guts, you know, and there were Russian army bases outside Leipzig, and the roads were churned up by tank tracks and stuff like that. But when I got there this time, everything had been repaired in that German fashion, and roads like this were just perfectly smooth. It's quite incredible, like, you know, it just, I guess that's what happens when you've got, you know, 70 million people or whatever instead of 25, so you can do a bit of infrastructure work, you know. Although Germany is often said is not what it was as far as that goes, but you know, their trains are always late these days, and they used to apologise if they were more than 30 seconds late. Seriously, you know, on the loudspeaker in the train. But wouldn't it be nice to just have these mirror smooth roads to do all your riding around on, instead of dodging bumps and potholes all the time? I sometimes think about the idea, you know, when I've had a few beers or something, or I'm riding along, I think about the idea of maybe getting another Rocket 3 and sticking another chair on it, you know. I've still got that spare sidecar sitting there that would probably fit on one alright. And then I think about how that Triumph, the Rocket 3, was such a great bike until it wasn't. And when it wasn't, it was a nightmare, as in mechanically, you know, it was great. Apart from that time the clutch cooked, but that was my fault, using the wrong oil in it, which had friction modifiers. But the motor, gearbox, etc. were all great. Massive thing to ride, torque, massively easy to ride. Docile, you know, for such a thing, for such a big, powerful motorcycle, and it was big and powerful. But you know, next thing, you know, you're going along, and then suddenly the fuel tank springs a leak, and it's not just a leak. It turns out to be about 20 leaks, and they're in the corners of rear corners of the tank, and they, you know, I actually end up buying another spare tank, second-hand tank, and it turned out it had exactly the same problems, same leaks, you know. And then once that happened and fuel got into the electrics, that was it. You know, it was pretty, never really got it quite right again, you know. So I don't know whether I really would or not, even though I love Triumphs. I've been a Triumph fan all my life, you know. But as it is, I mean, this thing does what it needs to do. I could ride this to Perth and back without any problems. You know, freshen it up a little bit maybe. You know. And the Harley, I love the Harley. If I can ever get to ride the bloody thing again. There's bits that when I go home, I'm actually gonna email the bloke who sold me that stuff, or the company. Say, oi, where's my fucking gasket kit? It's gonna be interesting pulling the whole thing apart and then putting it back together. Like, I pulled the rocker box covers off and stuff like that, but I haven't actually pulled the heads off yet. Well, one head, I ain't doing the front cylinder. But I haven't worked on a motorcycle with push rods since probably my old Triumphs, you know. And they were fairly simple, you know, you just had to position them right when you're putting them back together. The biggest issue with them was the pushrod tubes, getting them to seal and not leak, you know. So I'll be curious to see how we go with the old girl, putting it back together. Since I came across that feral pig the other day, I'll probably see them behind every bush for a couple of weeks. And I'll see kangaroos because they are behind every bush here. I always like this view as you come along here. That's Mount Plunkett, as my sister-in-law calls it, which I've mentioned recently, I think, because you can see it from my back window and backyard. Nice to get out on the bike. It's always nice to get out on the bike. Doesn't matter what sort of bike it is. When driving the car is useful and comfortable and warm and cool in summer with the air conditioning, and I'll be happy to drive it up to Cops in sorry, I just saw another pig, which was actually a lump of grass. Yeah, I've got to go to Cops a couple of times in the next month or so, so it would be good to ride the bike, but I just don't have the time. As in, I'd have to stop overnight on the bike somewhere, you know, around Maitland or Newcastle or something, which is fine, except for Keith. You know, like as it is, I'm away for 2 nights and get home late on the 3rd night. Usually get home about 1 in the morning or so. I call in and see Kerry on the way back. That's another couple of hours on the trip, so it's a fairly long trip. It's a good proper 12-hour drive, you know. And I'll have to call in and see her this trip on the way home. I just want to see Seamus as much as anything else. He'll be 17. Look at that big skip. It's almost black in its colour, like a black wallaby, but it was too big to be a wallaby. Yeah, he'll be 17 this year, and I just want to see him a couple of times when I can before he moves on over the bridge, you know. And you know, have a cup of tea and a chat with Kerry and stuff, and then head home. But it usually means I do a fairly long night drive, you know, back up through Marywar and then over to Dunedoo and down to Mingley Parks and home. There's no real point taking any more shortcuts than that. Too much time dodging skippies, you know, in the middle of the night. It's bad enough on the main roads. So I joined a Facebook page for Just Cattle Dogs, Australian cattle dogs, you know, and it's I think it's an American group actually, and there's lots of members, like 130 something thousand or something. I thought, oh, you know, I don't know, just something to do. I joined this page and I put up a picture of Tilly standing in front of a kangaroo, and got, like, you know, so far, I don't know, about 250 people like it, but then there are always these twits who have to get fucking angry about it. Oh, don't let your dog chase kangaroos, the kangaroos will have a heart attack, you know, from fear and this and that. So I had to reply, can you see a picture in this photo of Tilly actually chasing a kangaroo? So we had to ignore that apparently. And somebody else writes in, and they put in these, like, you know, passive aggressive angry faces things, but don't say anything, so I just ignore that shit. And then someone goes, God help your dog. And I was like, I put it in accompanying video showing her that where that photo was taken and a video of what happened, you know, which is we run into these kangaroos at least, oh, nearly every day, you know, and we have been doing that for 2 years. So they all know each other, and the cat walks along and sees them too, and blah blah blah. And in the video, you know, Tilly's more interested in a ball than the Skippy, which is only 10 feet away. And I say to her, stop there, and she stops. You know, she's really good with commands like that. The only time she's not is here in the sidecar. But out, you know, on our walks, I would just stop there, and she stops. And I say, stop there and wait, and she does, you know. And that's what she was doing with this kangaroo. She was never even looking like chasing it. Couldn't care less. She's used to them now, you know. And that's because I've trained her into that. But oh no, people just want to make up their own fucking narrative so they can be angry, which in turn makes me angry. Because I have a tendency to fucking tell them what I think, you know. But I just decided, no, just ignore it this time. They keep carrying on, and I find it too annoying. I'll just leave the group or whatever, which I'll probably do anyway. I'll get bored with it. There's a lot of really dodgy looking dogs that bear very little resemblance to an Australian cattle dog. And people clutch at straws as far as breeding is concerned. Well, that's alright. You know, everyone thinks their dog's the best dog, and everyone's right. Gotta love your dog. Gotta love your dog. Anybody coming? Don't think so. Silos. I'm doing that thing where I go back to first and I don't need to. There it is, the soon to be a film set. That'll be funny. Be interesting to see what they do, or if they even actually do anything. The old bloke's collection of ruined cars that he smashes and then pretends it was somebody else's fault. There's that house in there. Somebody's left their pillow. Hope it wasn't a pillow biter. She said that these cacti with the rain we've had will come out really nicely in spring. Not the bloody prickly pear, but these other ones. They should come out really well. I like that gum tree too. And that girl's bought these places. That's that's wide open. Just walk in there, and there's still stuff in there. And there's still stuff in the old shop, like a couple of bicycles and things like that. Anyway.